Gezi, congratulations. Off to the Saudi Darts Masters in winning fashion. How happy are you with the performance and result tonight?
Yeah, obviously a lot better than last week or the weekend in Bahrain, but yeah, especially at that 170 sort of settled me down, and yeah, I felt a little bit more comfortable there.
I think Toylo over the years has been a difficult customer for people to deal with, but you seem to deal with everything that came with you in your strive tonight.
Yeah, I knew he was probably going to be a bit slower than most players, and just held back a little bit and sort of got my rhythm with the walk up to the hockey and the way I throw. But yeah, just let him do his thing first before I started doing any of my prep on the board.
Talk to me about the atmosphere out there. It's obviously a very different atmosphere from what you're used to across many of the stages. What's it like?
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. You could hear the individuals now and again. I think the crowd are itching for big things to happen and for them to get involved. And yeah, that's probably the reason why I went for the 170 rather than set it up. I usually, if the opponent's not on a shot out, I usually set it up, but just felt like it was nice to try and get the crowd involved.
Does it kind of feel like people are actually watching the darts? I guess very different to what you're used to in the Premier League and things like the World Championship.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of times when I walked back after my pitch, I just looked out into the crowd and they were all fully focused, watching and engaged in the darts. And sometimes, in other arenas, they're not. They're there for a good old drink and a party atmosphere. And sometimes they're not even watching the darts, just sucking up the atmosphere. But yeah, they were more involved. I'm more like involved in watching the darts.
And just on last week in Bahrain, obviously the tournament didn't end how you'd have liked it to, but you got a win over Luke Littler and you've got a strong record during your careers against Luke Littler. How pleasing was that performance, especially as Luke hadn't lost a game for pretty much 3 months?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really look too much into it. I'm up there to win, whether it's Luke or anybody. At the end of the day, I lost in the semi-final, which I weren't happy with. So it's yeah, I beat Luke, but I'm there to win, and I'm not there to lose in semis. So even though I'm happy to get a win over Luke, I was a bit disappointed.
Okay, thank you, Gezi. Well played tonight.
No worries.
Well done, Gezi, on the win there. You've previously said in the past that you wouldn't care if the World Championship was to move to Saudi Arabia. So was it nice to actually play in the country for the first time and be one of the first PDC faces to play in what would probably be a long relationship with PDC and Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, and obviously people have said that they don't think it would be any good and the atmosphere because obviously there's no alcohol in the crowd and the atmosphere would be no good. But I disagree. They were itching to get involved and if it was a world championship and people were in the big scores over a longer format and they give time for the crowd to get involved, I think it'd be good.
I know that the World Championship will remain in London for at least the next 5 years, but would you like to one day see it maybe tour around the world? Like, we see the World Cup, for example, is in different countries in the football and stuff. Would you be open to that? Or do you think it's good to have it in one place every year?
To be honest with you, I'm not really bothered anymore. I seem to get a good crowd in Alexander Palace, so it's nice to have them on my side. And wherever the PDC decide to take it, I think it'll be the right decision. They don't really make many bad decisions. So if they were to take it somewhere else, then I'm happy. But if it stays in Alexander Palace, then that's where it is.
And on the stage, how did you find the conditions? A few of the players that we've spoken to said it was quite cold up there. I know that you've said that you don't like playing in the heat and it can affect your hands sometimes. Or was it quite nice to have what we think is a chilled atmosphere?
Yeah, actually, I was practicing backstage, like behind the stage before we went on, waiting for the game to finish, and it was a little bit breezy, and I was like, oh, fingers crossed it's not going to be like that on the stage, but it weren't. It was a little bit cold, a bit of a chill in the air, but it weren't affecting the darts, and yeah, I sort of, I don't mind that.
Cheers, Gazeta. Thank you. Well done today.
Sorry. Yeah. Lovely. Cheers, boys. Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you.
Cheers, Gezi.